UNDP is working here locally with entrepreneurs here in Gaza City, and they are part of the resilience and the recovery effort. Helping them in restart their activity, it's one of the main things that we can do. We have been able to create 6,000 jobs in this way, and it is part of the recovery effort. It's getting the economy going again, it's giving people a job, and it's making sure that they can reconnect with the future that they should have. Everyone sees what the incredible need for housing are. More than 300,000 families in Gaza are looking for housing. Only 10% of people today living in Gaza have housing which has the basic accommodation. So 90% of the population is today looking for housing. You have seen in which very difficult circumstances people have to live or have to survive. As UN organization, UNDP active on the ground, we have one demand, and that demand is give us access so we can help more people. And really, it is in three domains. First of all, making sure that we have access to do more debris removal. At the current speed, it will take us 7 years to remove all the debris. We can do more, and giving us access would definitely help with that. Second demand is give us more access so that we can continue building this relief housing. This relief housing is a huge step forward towards the very difficult circumstances in which people have to live today. Third demand, give us more access to give medical care.
Bah, c'est un peu catastrophique quand même, hein, surtout pour les commerçants, toutes les personnes sinistrées. Donc là, je pense qu'il y a quand même de gros dégâts sur la commune, sur les communes environnantes. Donc oui, c'est triste de voir ça.
Oui, la météo change, les événements se répètent plus souvent. Les sols n'absorbent plus du tout l'eau. On voit dans les champs, on voit partout. Il y a beaucoup de béton là, c'est sûr avant que ça soit que ça parte.
Je suis né ici et j'ai connu diverses crues, dont des plus importantes. En 52, par exemple, dans la rue de l'Œil, il y avait 2 mètres d'eau. Voilà, oui. Voilà ce que j'ai connu, moi. Et voilà.
News out of the Middle East, where the Israeli government is tightening its control of the occupied West Bank. The cabinet has approved measures to make it easier for settlers to buy land in the disputed regions. Israeli officials argue that beginning land registration for the first time since 1967 is an essential security measure, but Palestinian leaders are condemning the move, calling it a, quote, de facto annexation of occupied Palestinian territory and labeling it illegal settlement activity. Here to break it all down for us is NBC News international correspondent Matt Bradley. He's in Tel Aviv. Matt, good morning. So an Israeli settlement watchdog group called Peace Now said the Israeli measure could lead to the dispossession of Palestinians from up to half of the West Bank. Just what does this measure do? How could it impact the possibility of a two-state solution?
Yeah, I mean, Joe, it's all wrapped up in a lot of legalese and bureaucratic discussion. But the fact is that what this decision does, also with another decision that took place about a week earlier, also not from the full cabinet, but from the security cabinet, so a smaller body, really does do more than any other decision from the Israeli government in several generations to tighten Israeli control over the West Bank. Now, that decision that you're talking about, the most recent one from Sunday, it opens up a land registry. Now, that sounds quite benign, right? Why is everybody up in arms? It basically will mean, according to Peace Now, as you just mentioned, that a huge part of Area C, which is now under full Israeli control, even though Palestinians live there and also provide some services like education and other things. This is military control by the Israelis in these areas. Now, this land registry means, according to Peace Now, that any Palestinian who isn't able to furnish proof that they own their land, that land will automatically go into a land registry and be available either for the state or available for private people to purchase, like Jewish residents here in Israel who want to expand settlements in the West Bank. And again, this comes a week after another set of decisions that also really extended Israeli control over the West Bank and really lengthened the menu of places where Jews here in Israel can purchase land in the West Bank. So we're talking about two decisions, both of which, taken together, really defeat the notion of a two-state solution.
So how is the international community and the United Nations responding to all this?
Well, we've been hearing a lot of statements of concern from European countries and from international groups and organizations, strong condemnation from countries throughout the Middle East. And that's critical because the fact is that the Israelis have kind of gambled their diplomatic relations with their neighbors in order to extend their influence over the West Bank. This idea of annexing the West Bank has long been something that the Gulf countries, the Arab Gulf countries and other neighbors of Israel, many of whom have diplomatic relations, normalized relations with Israel, have said is a red line. And that's why this is such a gamble, because this doesn't actually annex the West Bank. These striking series of decisions just massively increases Israeli control over the West Bank and stops just short of that word annexation, something that President Trump had said he will not allow, in part because he's afraid of inciting the wrath of the Gulf states and preventing the furtherance of his Abraham Accords, which was his main, most important political legacy from his first term, and something that even Israeli politicians are desperate to see happen. They want to see normalized relationships with the likes of Saudi Arabia or Lebanon or Syria. This could really get in the way of that. And so that's one of the reasons why this is such a dangerous move, not just for Palestinians, but for Israelis as well.
All right, Matt Bradley in Tel Aviv. Matt, thank you so much.
Look, doing a deal with Iran is not easy. I said it yesterday, I'll repeat it again today. I mean, we have to understand that Iran ultimately is governed and its decisions are governed by Shia clerics, radical Shia clerics, okay? These people make policy decisions on the basis of pure theology. That's how they make their decisions. So it's hard to do a deal with Iran. We've always said it's hard, but we're going to try. That's what the president is trying. I'm not going to prejudge those talks. I'm certainly not going to negotiate with Iran here in front of the press and on the stage. Our negotiators are on their way there now. They'll have meetings. We'll see what happens. We're hopeful there's a deal. The president always prefers peaceful outcomes and negotiated outcomes to things. He's a president that's shown his willingness to talk to anyone and meet with anyone. And I think that there's an opportunity here to diplomatically reach an agreement that addresses the things we're concerned about. We will be very open and welcoming to that. But I don't want to overstate it either. It's going to be hard. I mean, we're dealing, it's been very difficult for anyone to do real deals with Iran because we're dealing with radical Shia clerics who are making theological decisions, not geopolitical ones. But let's see what happens. I hope it works out. We all hope it works out.
Focus to West Asia as a fragile ceasefire hangs by a thread in Gaza. Netanyahu's top aide has warned Hamas to disarm in the next 60 days.
And do this or face renewed attacks. The ultimatum was given by Cabinet Secretary Yossi Fuchs, and he added that the 60-day period was only mandated upon U.S. President Donald Trump's direction. The new threat comes as Gaza gears up for the Islamic holy month of Ramadan.
Netanyahu's advisor also said that armed Hamas members will have to surrender everything, including their AK-47 rifles. The date for the start of the surrender process remains unclear, but reports say that it might begin with Thursday's Board of Peace conference.
Now, according to Fuchs, if the disarmament does not happen by the time elections begin in Israel, then the IDF will resume its offensive in the Gaza Strip. He added that as part of the disarmament campaign, the IDF will focus on dismantling any remaining Hamas tunnels in Gaza.
The warning comes even as Israel plans to restart a contentious land regulation process in the occupied West Bank, and this would allow Israel to gain control over large swathes of occupied territory.
Once Israel resumes the land registration process for a certain area, anyone claiming a piece of land must prove their ownership by submitting documents, and this paves the way for the resumption of settlement of land titles processes, which had been frozen since the Arab-Israeli War in 1967. The decision has since drawn widespread condemnation from Palestinians and world leaders.
The confrontation between Iran and its rivals is no longer confined to missiles, warships, or diplomacy. A new battlefield has opened, the digital front. An AI-generated video circulating online appears to show Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his wife being captured after a simulated Iranian strike on Tel Aviv. The footage is not real, but its message is unmistakable. Analysts say it reflects a growing shift towards psychological warfare, where narratives and perception are weapons just as powerful as missiles. In the video, drones are shown striking buildings in Tel Aviv before commandos arrest Netanyahu and escort him away in handcuffs. The scene ends with the couple depicted aboard a military aircraft, blindfolded and detained. Clips like these are designed less to inform than to intimidate, projecting strength, mocking adversaries, and signaling what Iran wants the world to imagine could happen in a future conflict. The video surfaced as Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei issued fresh warnings to both Washington and Tel Aviv. He declared that more dangerous than fleets of warships are the weapons capable of sinking them, and insisted the United States has failed for decades to destroy the Islamic Republic. His message was clear. Iran believes it has both the capability and the resilience to withstand pressure and to retaliate if attacked. All this comes as U.S. forces expand their presence in the Middle East and nuclear negotiations remain fragile. Washington says it wants a deal, but insists Iran must never obtain nuclear weapons. Tehran counters that it will not negotiate under threats. Between those positions lies a dangerous gap, one now filled with psychological signaling, digital propaganda, and escalating rhetoric. Whether this digital escalation stays symbolic or becomes a prelude to real confrontation may depend on what happens next at the negotiating table and on how both sides interpret each other's signals.
Iran has begun live-fire military exercises toward the Strait of Hormuz, according to multiple semi-official Iranian news agencies, in a move that underscores rising regional tensions at a critical moment in diplomacy. The semi-official Tasnim news agency, which is considered close to Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guard, reported that missiles launched from inside Iran and along its southern coastline successfully struck designated targets in the Strait of Hormuz. Iranian state-linked outlets described the launches as part of a broader military drill involving naval and missile units. Iran's Revolutionary Guard, also known as the IRGC, announced that the exercises began early yesterday morning and are taking place across the Strait of Hormuz, the Persian Gulf, and the Gulf of Oman. These waterways form one of the most strategically important maritime corridors in the world. The live-fire drills come as the United States and Iran begin their second round of indirect talks focused on Tehran's nuclear program. The negotiations are aimed at addressing long-standing disputes over Iran's nuclear activities and at preventing further escalation between the two countries. The talks follow years of heightened tensions, economic sanctions, and periodic confrontations in the region. Diplomatic efforts have sought to revive or reshape agreements that would place limits on Iran's nuclear activities in exchange for sanctions relief. The Strait of Hormuz has frequently been at the center of geopolitical friction. In the past, Iran has warned that it could disrupt shipping through the strait in response to economic pressure or military threats. The United States and its allies have repeatedly emphasized the importance of maintaining freedom of navigation in the waterway. There has been no immediate indication of interference with commercial shipping as a result of the exercises. However, naval forces from multiple countries routinely patrol the broader region to safeguard maritime traffic and monitor military developments. Iran's Revolutionary Guard plays a central role in the country's strategic military posture, particularly in the Gulf region. The IRGC Navy has previously conducted drills involving fast attack craft, drones, and missile systems designed to operate in confined maritime environments like the Strait of Hormuz. As the second round of talks unfolds, attention will remain fixed not only on the negotiating table, but also on developments in the Gulf's strategic waterways. With a significant portion of the world's oil flowing through the Strait of Hormuz, stability in the region carries global consequences. For now, Iran's live-fire exercises add a military dimension to an already delicate diplomatic moment, highlighting the high stakes surrounding both regional security and international energy supply.